Have I beaten the game before? No. I specifically wanted to not finish the game until I had done this, because otherwise my resolve in finishing this challenge would be much weaker if I had already beaten the game. In early access I played through most of the game, and then once it hit full release I finished off most of the achievements for levels I had already done. I did the Ancient Monument, which was the hand in the desert, so I could clean that with the white nozzle, because that was an achievement. And then I unlocked the fishing boat and reset my progress to start again. And that is where this journey began, about 60 videos ago, in terms of YouTube playlist. And the length of those videos varies widely, but probably averages about an hour each. So it's probably about 60 or maybe even 70 hours of playtime, at least on this endeavor alone. Do I plan on doing speedruns of this game? I have done some, but it was while it was in early access. The challenge levels give a really good way of doing speedruns, so you're going either against the clock in one mode or going for water efficiency in another mode. I do have some on the leaderboards, but they are obsolete because, or turned into miscellaneous, or maybe even completely deleted, because they were early access runs. I may do some challenge runs after finishing this, but I wanted to make sure that I finish this off first before I distract myself with things like that. I took a break from this challenge to do the Final Fantasy DLC when it was released, because that intrigued me, and I'm a bit of a fan of the Final Fantasy aesthetic. So I did do those to give myself a bit of a break, but I've been wanting to finish this challenge before I explore the other content, ideally. Otherwise I'll just get too distracted and not come back to this. About 5 days of watch time, at least, yeah, depending on how much time you like to dedicate to watching YouTube content. Yeah, I'll probably do like a summary post or something at some point where we break down how long it's taken, like average per level or something. Though this level alone is going to throw the average off major times, so maybe not. 96%. I'm going to be very relieved when this is finished, that's for sure. Once you've for 3 hours, what's 5 days? That's the spirit. With a variety of soundtracks, we were using smooth jazz, epic music, we've gone through quite a lot of folk, I think, at one point. Lately I've been using just game soundtrack music because I kept having issues with certain things being hit with like muted audio on Twitch. I was able to immediately appeal it and get it reviewed and revoked, but it's just a hassle. I'll still use Pretzel for Euro Truck Simulator more, but for this I've been using Winamp with my own music. Well, I say my own music, with video game music. Tends not to get identified for copyright stuff. This one's from Persona 5, for example. Okay, that's the barnacles exposed. There's some pretty large clean areas, so that's good to see. Hopefully this won't take too long. I've still got to have lunch and it's almost 2 PM. I really should have got started on this earlier. Mistakes were made. But sleep in was good, because otherwise I'd have been dozing off at the keyboard probably. This stuff is really annoying, that it's just these little barnacle shells. It's not even barnacle shells, it's just residue. It's like, whoever did the painting of this was a bit lazy. Should have just left all this stuff clean. Just start with the barnacle shells down the bottom and do it properly, please. None of this rubbish. Because then it's really hard to tell what is to be cleaned and what is just a stone texture. So you just have to spray over extra just in case, pretty much. Maybe I'll just start from the bottom, to be honest. I like to work my way down. Like, start from the top, work down. But if it's going to be inconsistent little bits like that, maybe I just start from where it's really dense and then worry about going over some of the smaller bits later if I need to. Got almost every achievement. Yep. I think the only one I'm missing is just for completing the career. That was the other reason of wanting to get this finished sooner rather than later, so I can have, briefly, 100% achievements, because then I believe they've said that with the SpongeBob DLC, they're adding more achievements relating to that. I was of two minds about that. That's where I wish that there was in-game achievements, different to the Steam achievements. Because having Steam achievements for a game that are actually locked behind their separate paid DLC is never fun to me. It was a bit rude to people who don't, like, just not interested in that particular content means they'll never get all achievements. Not that achievements mean anything, but, you know. I am a bit of an achievement hunter. The what DLC? The SpongeBob DLC. Have you not heard? I think it's the end of this month. There is a map pack that is SpongeBob related maps, apparently. I don't know what it looks like. It amuses me. I'm not a big SpongeBob fan. I've watched barely any of it. The only episodes of it I've watched at all have been when I've been in hospital with my daughter on the ward, and it's been the only thing on TV. So... Never liked that you couldn't remove achievements and do them again. Why would you want to do that? I mean, you can do the same thing that got you the achievement, and you can. Some games you can reset Steam achievements. I believe there's something you can do in the Steam console that resets achievements. Can I grab SpongeBob and clean with him? He's a sponge after all. You're not wrong. There should definitely be a sponge attachment. Yeah, I'm sure that there is a way, well, I thought there was, maybe there isn't anymore, but I thought there was a way you could get Steam achievements reset so you could start again. I've never understood why you would want to. For me, the fun of it is that you've done it and you get to see the time that you did it. Why do we do anything in life? Fair point. What you can also do is just create a new Steam account. Just to, like, if you set up library sharing, then any game that is installed on your local machine, you can play with another Steam account on your machine, you know, family sharing or whatever it's called. I do that with a bunch of stuff, like I'll have things installed on my wife's computer under my account, and then she can play it when I'm not playing anything on Steam. And the achievements and everything are completely separate. So you can create a secondary Steam account, play the games you already own, redo all of the achievements as much as you like, and then you can nuke the account and just jettison it. Or create another one if you want to, and just keep doing that. I don't think there's any limit to the number of Steam accounts you can have, nor do I think there's a limit to the number of accounts that can play games through library sharing. I think that's what a lot of streamers do. they'll have their own private Steam account with their name that they will use to play games on their own time, and then they'll have an account set up that essentially uses local library sharing to play the games that they own on their main account for streaming and such, using their own like in-game ID and everything, especially if they're doing like multiplayer with like members and stuff or subs. I'm fairly sure that's what they'll do. And that way you can own things on your personal account that then you don't play on your streaming account. Vice versa, you can have stuff that you have for streaming but you don't have it on your personal account. So that way, you know, if you're doing it as a job, that's a business expense, right? You buy the game to have on your business account. And then you could still play it casually if you want for library, on using library sharing, and like test your OBS setup and stuff like that before you actually play it for realsies. Yeah, lots of options. Beat the game, reset it. You're talking about the DLC, so I have to beat the game again before you play the DLC. No, you should be able to play the DLC regardless, because they'll appear as some of the special content and should give you all of the things, like all of the special maps and stuff. They usually give you the loadout to use rather than you using your career loadout. So I think the idea is you should be able to just jump in and play any of the either free or paid DLC content without doing anything in the campaign. Want to play it with the end gear? I'm not sure you get the choice, that's the thing, is I'm fairly sure that you just get a specific loadout, which will probably be the best stuff, because I'm fairly sure that's what happened with the Final Fantasy DLC content, because I did it on this account, so I don't have any of the good stuff, but I'm fairly sure it gave me the good stuff. It gave me the Pro Washer and everything, I'm fairly sure. Because they wanted to make it accessible. It's a case of, well, this is an extra draw card to get people interested in the game. If they pick up the game and the DLC, we want them to be able to jump into the DLC and enjoy it to its fullest without first drudging through the entire campaign, or as much of it as is needed to earn stuff. Two separate experiences. So I believe you shouldn't have a problem with that. Kind of find out once it comes out. But yeah, fairly sure that's the idea. Because it's like that with all the special levels, like the there's like the gnome fountain, the mini golf, and the steam train. Because when I was doing the gnome fountain, I was being perpetually annoyed that I was locked to only using the urban washer, because that's all that it gave you. And then the mini golf has the 3000, and then the steam train has the pro. You couldn't deviate from what you were given. It would be nice, like at the time I bemoaned that it would be nice if they gave you a loadout, but then you could change it based on what you had purchased. But it makes much more sense to just give you the best stuff and just let you go from there, quite frankly. Because the idea, like the theme behind it is that, well, you've proven yourself, you've done the campaign and everything, everyone knows who you are, now you're getting contracts from other people. So you should just have all of the good stuff to start with. Opinion on DLC? I have varied opinions on DLC. It depends entirely on how it's implemented. Certain DLC feel a little bit predatory, like you get DLC that adds new content that you should otherwise be able to enjoy as part of a base game. Cities Skylines is pretty bad for that sort of DLC, where it'll add new stuff that you should be able to enjoy as part of the base gameplay experience as well, and it just feels a little bit rude to gate that sort of stuff. I prefer DLC to be used more for new scenarios, like for in Power Sim, like adding new maps and stuff. No problem with it, makes perfect sense to me. If they added a new washer that you could only get through the DLC, that would piss me off. Like, bit iffy on ATS's map DLC. I don't see why ATS, you only get California, Nevada, and Arizona. That's huge. Like, that surface area is probably as big as the base game area in ETS2 as well. Like, that's a massive amount of the game. It's also entirely likely that in the future they'll start to include more in the base offering. Because I believe in ETS2, if you buy the base game now, don't you get Going East as well, I think? They made a change to the package as it was on Steam to just include certain DLC when you buy the game. And they'll probably do the same with ATS at some point if they haven't already. I haven't noticed because I haven't had to care. I do not have a problem with it. Like, the idea that you need to have the larger map area to have fun is completely incorrect. Because you can have plenty of fun. Like, you start off with the starting experience and then you decide, oh, I want to explore Texas, so I'll get Texas, or I want to explore Oregon, so I'll get that. You know, it's entirely personal choice. None of it is required to enjoy playing the game in its normal state. The trucks are added as DLC, but free, so anytime they add a new truck, you can enjoy that no matter what version of the game you have, or what other DLC you have. That is a model that I appreciate. And otherwise you just have cosmetic DLCs. So I think the Truck Simulator games are a very good example of how to do DLC well. You have paid DLC offering large amounts of extra content in the form of new maps. You can still play and enjoy the game perfectly adequately, or very well in fact, using just the base game. Or optionally, once you've finished exploring the base game to your heart's content, you can buy additional areas. And the crucial thing about that is it's not just an expanded map area, it also has additional new assets and stuff, so you know, you're driving through places that feel different, as opposed to just feeling like more of the same stuff. Like, that's my main misgiving with a lot of the like Skyline stuff, is that generally the overall game is exactly the same. Unless you're adding in some new stuff that specifically fits. Like, that form of game just doesn't suit that style of DLC, I think, is part of the problem. I've also not played that game in ages, so I shouldn't really comment on it too much. But yeah, I've got no issue with how Truck Sim do their DLC. I think it's a very good model for it, and I think that these guys have started doing a very good model, like following a similar sort of model. Like just adding on bonus maps. It's great. As I say, I'd be pissed off if they added new power washers behind paid DLC. That would annoy me. But if they add new skins behind paid DLC, fine, not a problem. Or I should say, if they add like a specific power washer that you can only use in those DLC, but you can't otherwise use it elsewhere, then I'd have no problem with that either. Like if there was a special SpongeBob thing that you then couldn't use in the main game, that's fine, because you're not affecting the campaign experience by the use of its use in the DLC. You see it's going for an extra update on Texas? I have not. Any complaints on how Texas is kind of bad? I disagree. I honestly think that Texas was pretty good. But, you know, yeah, if they're putting out an update, it's probably because they ran into timeline pressure. Like, they would have said, oh, we're going to release the DLC as of this date. And then they couldn't fit certain things into that. So rather than delay the DLC, which would piss off people who had already pre-ordered it, actually, could you even pre-order it? I think you could only add it to your wish list. Either way, rather than piss off people who, you know, because people get really antsy about things getting delayed. So release it and then do an update later to add in extra stuff that you didn't have time to fit it in the first place. Fine by me. I enjoyed driving through Texas. I thought it was great. I haven't looked at to see what they've added in the new update. I've been kind of keeping my distance from looking at updates to the truck sim games and stuff. I know they're also doing further updates in Germany and ETS2. But until I finish this, I don't want to get too distracted by that sort of thing. I don't want to give myself a reason to be distracted from what I'm trying to do with this. Where's the... Can I look at the... I can't find the scaffold. There it is. I need the scaffold down here now. I mean, it just comes down to the fact that I don't think Texas was bad in any way, shape or form, and I think that people who do are probably being overly critical. Could it be better? Sure, even anything can, and as you say, clearly they agree that it could have been better, and adding more to it. Good on them. But I certainly disagree with the idea of it being kind of bad. Like, those are two very different things, and I think people get a bit lost in that sometimes, is the idea of, oh, there's something wrong with such and such, therefore it must be bad. It's like, no. Just because something is not perfect does not mean it is bad. Things can literally always be better. And if they're making efforts to make improvements on something already, then good for them. Again, that says to me that they already had it, and it just missed the boat. Or it's things that will tie in with, because they're doing Oklahoma next, right, which sits on top of Texas, I believe, so it's a case of, well, if we're doing some changes up around there that are going to then facilitate it integrating with Oklahoma, then that also makes a lot of sense. The thing with Texas, it's always hot and you're in Texas. Fair enough. I think you get a lot of people who love the idea of, oh, I've got a DLC that's based where I live so I can explore. And then you've got other people who will be a case of, I don't want to drive where I live, I want to go somewhere different. Both perfectly valid points of view. Okay. So this entranceway is going to be a little bit harder than I first expected. I also could theoretically take a short break now, but I'm just going to push through. I want to finish this thing off now. 97%. Just got to hope that we can get this done. Let's move this closer. Let's get it nice and close up here. So I actually get on the ramp. Now I can see what I'm doing a lot better. Kinda hate the fact you need most of the DLC to get max achievements. Yeah, that is, like I said before, in terms of DLC achievements and what's like with the DLC for this game adding new achievements, does bug me a little bit. But again, you do have to realise that achievements don't mean anything, right? you don't get anything other than dopamine and personal satisfaction for getting achievements. Because at the same time, if they added a DLC and didn't also add new achievements with it, but you have achievements in the base game, then it would feel bad, right? It's like, well, why should I play the new areas? There's no new achievements or anything to exploring the new areas, so why would I bother? So they're damned if they do and damned if they don't, basically. You can't win. I think on balance it is better to give new achievements for new content, so long as it is clear in the achievements what DLC it requires. Because there's nothing worse than trying to go for a DLC and not realizing that it is beholden to a specific type. But I think they've been pretty good about like having in brackets requires such and such DLC. It's a number. I need a positive number. Any number above 0 is a positive number. So you have a positive number. So I think on balance it is better to add new achievements for DLC. I also think it's healthy for them to look at the current achievements for a game and go, should we add new achievements that are achievable just with the base game? Like, have we observed players doing certain things that should be recognized? I mean, they've been adding new viewpoints and such in Truck Simulator, kind of going back to old areas. So I haven't noticed whether or not there are achievements for viewpoints in classic areas of the game. Like, nice. Or view all the viewpoints for Germany, for example, something like that. Yeah. Encourage people to do the new mechanics in old areas as well. It's the other thing. Such good music. Okay, we're gonna have to turbo or red nozzle on this ore, but I think we're gonna park the scaffold right in front of that so I can do that more easily. At a DLC you have to clean the Taj Mahal. I mean... one, that would be huge, but two, I'd do it. I'd be down for that. I wouldn't do it with the basic washer, though. I'd use the Pro. But then if they added an achievement to clean the Taj Mahal using only the 1500, I would probably do that. That's the other thing, is that achievements are great for encouraging people to do stupid things in games that they really shouldn't do. Yeah, if they want to add an achievement for just completing the game, like career, using only the 1500 and just give it to me retroactively, I'm fine with that too. I wouldn't want to have to do it again in order to get the achievement. Just like send them my playlist and say, hey guys, please add this to Steam for me. Creating your own map update, you can create your own places and make them dirty. That is also what I've been saying a few times, is that a map editor is what this game lacks a bit. Like, you could have a lot of good fun with a map editor on this. Little model your own house to clean it, yep. Yeah. Custom map editor with workshop support would be pretty great. Because people will do some crazy things on their own time. Make sure we get the top of those bits there. Then we'll need to go downstairs to do other bits, other parts of that. This ore is going to be the death of me, I know. I know that that's going to be the most frustrating part, is cleaning off all of that stuff. It's going to suck if I have to leave and come back to just do that little bit. Oh well. So be it. We have to do a victory lap episode where we just clean the front of the pyramid, then so be it. I should have started locally recording this so I could splice them together if I needed to, because otherwise I just highlight things off Twitch just using the VODs. But there's no way that you can combine two together, which is something that they kind of lack. Oh, interesting. It would be kind of nice if they did actually have the ability to combine multiple videos, because if you just have like a random stream outage or something but want to make one highlight out of them, I think you can download them. So I'll just have to do that probably. But I'd rather not have to. Released the gameplay video for Oklahoma. Yep, I saw that. I haven't watched the video, but I did see that they've released that. I always like those gameplay videos. They usually do a pretty chill drive. It's kind of fun. I like watching driving and walking videos normally on YouTube, so it just kind of fits into that. Doesn't matter that it's virtual. That's why I've been wondering with some of my truck sim content, rather than having camera and microphone and stuff, whether to just do it as a driving video. Have to clean the van with the red nozzle. That was easy. But yeah, that was a fun one. I mean, they tried to give most maps an achievement. It's a shame they didn't for this one or the UFO. I mean, this one obviously you get the achievement for finishing their career, but there was no UFO achievement, and I wish that there was. Like, I feel they could have done one in such a way that it wouldn't have been a spoiler. But yeah, the one for the van was doing it with the red nozzle, which, yeah, I enjoyed personally. It was interesting, and it was good practice for this. I also did that, the one where it's like you've got to clean 90-something% or whatever without getting a single ding, like without completing a feature. I did that one at the same time, because if you're using just the red nozzle and the basic washer on something like the van, it's a really good combination. So I found it easy to get that achievement at the same time. It's also such a small map that if you were to make a mistake and finish something prematurely, you can reset it and you haven't wasted too much time. You've only wasted like 10 minutes, if that. But a large part of it was just like the body, which is just a big feature, so you could just do almost all of that and then work on all the rest of it to just get to that 90% that you needed. Or whatever it was, 95, I can't remember now, it's been a while. Nice. Entrance wall is almost done. Don't know what's missing on it. It's probably around the side too, is it? Yeah, but there's nothing there that still needs cleaning. What about in here? A little bit, but nothing much. It's going to be chasing the tiny little bits that's going to waste so much time for me. What more do you want from me for the entrance wall? Come on. Please. Please, ding. Gonna have to do some tab spam. Ah, on the corner. Gotcha. Alright, going up. Okay. Mosaic wall. This is gonna have little annoying bits that I miss probably. I can practically guarantee. Made me launch PowerWash Sim for the first time in 2 months. You're welcome. You'll thank me for it later. They're normally about a month after the video drops after a gameplay. Yeah, that's what I figure too. Started working on trying to get 100% map completion in Euro Truck Simulator 2 again. I kind of want to do the same. Oh, sweet. Entrance shell feature and Pyramidion gem. I don't. What's even the gem? Huh? Pyramidion gem. Wait, is that on the top? Did I miss something way up the top? Pedestal. There's no gem up here, is there? No. Huh? Where is that? What's the gem? Oh, I guess I shouldn't waste too much time on this right now. Oops. Whee! Bonk. Put this right in front. What's the gem? Now I'm confused and slightly concerned. This ore is gonna be a pain. Yeah, what's the gem? So it's just this shell feature. Unless it's like I clean everything else and then a gem appears or something. I'm wondering if that's going to happen. I have to clean everything else. Thank you. Yes, I kind of figured that might have been the case. I was wondering, even after I'd started and then done the top, whether I should have left the top for last. And yeah, it seems I should have. Because then I'd have been right there. Ore is a little bit more ingrained than the barnacles, unfortunately, so I've got to go a little bit slower over parts. Oops. Also want to make sure that I've gotten all of the other bits first, so I'm not getting confused and thinking something is ore when it's not. Especially some of these bits up here. I'll probably put the scaffolder a little bit too close. In reflection, I should probably move it back just a little. I can't even drop down. There. Just a little bit more distance. Okay, right. Rinse cycle first. Can we just leave the ore on there? It looks kind of cool. You know, that I rate it. I think it looks better that way. I don't see the need to remove this at all. Can we just come to an agreement that it looks better? I'll just even it up a bit. How's that? Opinion on pressing the tab key? I do it when I need to. I don't like having to. I certainly don't like spamming it too much. Certainly not if it's not necessary, but there have been times when the bits that are left to clean have just not been visible to the naked eye. And then you hit tab and suddenly something shows up and it's like, okay, there is no difference in that texture whatsoever. And you spray it and it dings and then you move on. And that's fine. Like, theoretically, it is a function that should not need to exist in the game. But because of how the game has been done, it is just practically necessary on some levels. You either go over it super accurately, and I like to think that I'm pretty diligent about how I go over things in the first place. So for me to then find instances where I can't see what I've missed and have to tab spam just to show up tiny orange flecks in order to get a ding, it says that it's just, you need to have that function there, quite frankly. Otherwise you'd just be going over the whole thing again, which is just tiresome. So yeah, I'm not a fan of how it flashes up so brightly. I also wish you could change the color that it flashes up, or that it would always be a contrasting color against the surface. Because for this, if I hit tab there, it does show up reasonably well, but orange versus this sort of tanny gold is not high contrast. So it would be nice if it reacted to the color that it was on top of, or that you could tweak which color it used. So if you were finding that it was too low contrast, that you could change it so it was like a purple or something, so it would show up a lot more obviously. Not originally in the game and people kept complaining? Yeah, probably. Or they just didn't press tab. Because I know it wasn't, like, there was no tutorial on your controls, and a lot of people don't read the loading screen. So, there's also that. Because I remember, like, that whenever you load into a map, it gives you what the keys are. And that's been, from all I can remember anyway, maybe not day one, but I'm fairly sure pretty early, it told you what you can do. And you have to, it doesn't just automatically load in, then you have to click start. So you get a chance to see it. But I'm positive there were then people complaining that, oh, I don't know what button to press. And then they added the sort of tutorial thing when you first start playing that tells you, you know, R to rotate and tab to view dirt and stuff like that, I think is one of them. And I remember at the time thinking, why? You literally get told when you load into every single level, but no, whatever. But yeah, it's a case of it should not be necessary if the algorithm for identifying when something was clean correctly identified when a stain was no longer visible. But it's not the best on that. Like, you can have things that will not be visible to the naked eye, but it still won't think you've cleaned it. If only I'd started this like half an hour earlier. Or taken shorter breaks. I'm hungry. Like, it is 2:30 PM. I need lunch. But I also need to finish this like 1/4%. Once again, the yellow nozzle does not really do anything against this ore. So we are forced to use the red. Or the turbo, but the turbo has such a spiral on it that you end up missing bits in between a lot of the time that I find just doing a dot matrix with the red more effective. Go to a rehab center addicted to the tab key. I certainly don't like using it too much, but there's been definite times that I've just spammed it constantly because it's just not been possible to see what I still needed to clean. I'm hoping we won't get to that point with this, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we did. Probably also move down to the next level down now, I think. I'll just kind of clean the top of this bit here first, just in case I don't get a very good angle on that. This is so close to being done now. I'm hoping that it dings without me having to get every last little bit, because we are already at a point that it's really close. Like, that is so at the bottom of the bar right now. Just gonna try and get the most egregious parts. Oh, it's just such a sliver. Oh, perfect. Good. Done. So, now you say that the gem doesn't appear until afterwards. So let's go climb this. This is where you need cutscenes. There it is. Oh, there's the plane. It went that way. As well as hasn't given me a timer. Oh, and then it stops. It shouldn't stop. Just keep zooming around. I'm probably meant to have done it quicker. This is slightly bright. I hope it doesn't need me to clean the top, because I have no idea how I'd get up there. Because the scaffold definitely doesn't reach. Gem magically appeared on top of the pyramid and you're like, everything is okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chaos Emerald, that's fine. Yeah, the statue in the desert started spewing water when we finished cleaning that. You know, this is not the strangest thing to happen to me in this campaign. Oh, what are you missing now? See, I'll tab spam this, but I don't know how I'm meant to see against how bright this thing is. What are you missing? What more do you want from me? You look clean to me. So I can't get on top. Huh? What is not clean? Oh, there we go. And there's the UFO. Oh, there's the leg thrusters plane, who this time got shot down. Excellent. Good riddance. And there we go, our sci-fi ending comes to its conclusion. Oh. And time-lapse. I was right about the angle that the time-lapse was going to be on. That's why I left the front till the end. Random shit happens and everyone goes in their dad, and this game is set in New York City. No, I think it's set in Detroit, which is just as bad. PowerWash services, you did it! After you cleaned our ship, we went further back in time, methodically tracing your steps one job at a time, right back to the backyard cleaning days. While doing so, we pieced together Blake Thrust's ambitions. Thrust was obsessed with the lost city of pacifists, and after discovering their tech was powered by rare ore, set up illegal mines here, there, and everywhere. He struck a rich seam inside Mount Rushliss and used to develop his own tech, while also hoping to create enough tectonic movement to push the lost city up to the surface. But he didn't realize that by destabilizing the volcano, he nearly caused a global apocalypse. Knowing that the underwater city lay dormant, until this moment we went back in time and told the pacifists of your legend. They agreed to convert their palace into an offshore platform to send a neutralizing beam to Mount Rushliss when the city resurfaced. We dirtied the place up to ensure it would only activate once completely cleaned by a skilled power washer. Thanks to you, the timeline is now restored and we can return to our time as heroes. Heroes with red velvet cake. P.S. Please feel free to use this message as a customer review if you think it would help your business. Perfect. It's a power washing game, why does it need so much lore? Because why not? Scene after the credits? I assumed. I like to sit through credits anyway. Oh, now we get music. I'll turn me out. There we go. Oh, and it shows all of your time lapses. Hey! That's cool. And you'll be able to see that I'm using the basic washer in all of them. Copyrighted. Hopefully not. Make It Shine, written and performed by Green Gills. So it's for the game specifically, it should be fun.
Every time you make it all shine, you make it all shine. Yeah, one thing that I know is that just everywhere you go, you make it all shine, you make it all shine. When nothing is looking
that was a big job. Fire station, I think, was one of the earliest ones with using the basic washer. I'm like, oh no. Such a useless man.
Could have stayed in bed, you could have stayed at home, but you got out there instead, and yeah, you got it all done. What started as a trickle ended like a volcano. And from the darkest depths of the ocean, you're coming up gold, you make it all shine.
Firehouse was fun until the tower. To me, it was the opposite. I enjoyed the tower more than the main. Certainly the roof. The roof of the main building was the worst. Because it was just so flat and boring. The tower was much more interesting. It was fun. The washroom that was twice as big as it needed to be. Almost a tear in your eye. You finally have your life back. I'm free. The curse has been lifted. I'm free. I'm very pleased. Tower, except the angles on the stairs. Yeah, that's fit. Subway. Don't even get me started on the subway. I like the plane, the stunt plane. It was a good palate cleanser. Honestly, one of my most favourite levels is the plane. Bloody boat. Those bloody barnacles. The UFO is fun. I really enjoyed the UFO. And voila. The time-lapse for the last one needed to last a little bit longer. Hey, there we go. Photos from everything. Lost Ulysses. Aww, we were looking after Ulysses the whole time. Fantastic. See you at the wedding, don't dress weird. I'll dress in an orange suit. Fantastic. I like that. This game will probably be a good game to play high. It's a good game to play sober. I would say don't sully the experience. Fantastic. $24,010 is what you end up with. It bothers me that it's not 200 stars. I think they needed to have just 2 more levels. They needed one which was they needed to have the shop to buy your power washing gear from. That needed to be a level. And there was another one that I thought of a while ago that I think would have been good to have, but I've lost it off the top of my head now. Or maybe the clothing shop for your apparel and stuff, because you get like the different suits and gloves. There should have been a clothing shop or something for that. If you'd clean those to unlock the use of the cosmetics and stuff, I think that would have been a fun idea. But other than that, that's some good fun. We're now going to leave it there. So we've finished the career now. Why does it say new? Oh, okay. And so now you can go back and redo everything else here. But everything's 100%. We're going to leave that as it is. Bonus jobs, so this is where you've got the special stuff. There's the new Muckingham ones, which we're going to jump into at some point. And then there's free play, where we have everything that we could ever want. So we're going to jump back into that. I wish it showed it the way that you unlocked them instead of it being like vehicles and locations. That's kind of weird to me. But yeah. How long did it take you to do the monuments? Oh, you mean the hand in the desert? Just started 190% done with the good stuff. Yeah, it took me a while because I was using the basic washer. I can probably find monuments. It took me an hour and 11 minutes was my basic washer challenge video. I can't remember whether or not I did it on stream to get the achievement, the white nozzle achievement. I suspect I did not. And in that case, I have no idea how long that one took me. Unless it's in my early access playlist, because I know I chucked some stuff into that even though I'd already finished. Yeah, Wash Your Hands was 48 minutes to do with the pro using the white nozzle only for the achievement for that. So that was the last one that I did before resetting my progress. So yeah, 48 minutes on that one. Cool. Yeah, and then we've got challenge modes. This is where we've got the speedrun stuff. We might get into that at some point. But otherwise, we've got the specials. And yeah, we're going to jump into Tomb Raider as well. So we've done Midgar. It says continue campaign, but it's all complete. So I don't know why it says that. It says new, but I've done them all. Who knows? But that will be all for now. Next time I jump into this game, I'm just going to go on a spending spree, and then I'm going to start in free play again and just rip through it and see how it stacks up differently. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Certain levels will probably not take all that much different. It'll probably be a bit surprising in that regard, because there'll probably be a few that it's just surface area and I won't do it that quicker. But then there'll be some like the fishing boat and the last palace there with all the barnacles that'll be a breeze compared to using the basic washer with all those barnacles. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all very much for sticking with me through all of this. It's been a journey. Feels like I've been doing this for a year now. I probably have. When did I start this objective? I mean, when was the game fully released, I guess, is the answer to that. Clean the Van was first recorded July 18th, 2022. So yes, it has almost been a year since I started this journey, and we have finally finished. I mean, we would have finished it much quicker, but life got in the way of me streaming as much as I would have wanted to. So yeah, 11 months. I'll take that. And yep, thanks for joining me for this. It's done. We don't need to do it again, unless they add an achievement to do it again, in which case we'll probably do it again, because we're crazy like that. Yeah. Have a good day. Have fun. We'll see you next time with a Pro Washer.